Okay, hello everyone. It's time for segment 3. At the end of segment 2, we were looking at a writing example from lesson E, which was on page 104. And I read for you that example. And so we can see that for this week's writing assignment, we need to write a thank you email. However, as this one is relating to work and interviewing, if that particular topic is not useful for you or practical, you could write a thank you letter to someone else, anyone else, but follow the same strategy. Now, if this would be helpful for you to write a work-related thank you email, you can follow the example that we saw on page 104, Dear Ms. Hill, which I spoke about. Okay, another possibility is that in the workbook, there is another example on page 99. So in the White Color Ventures book, page 99, there is another example. And if it would be easy for you, you can follow the sample on page 99. Let me show you that for a moment. So on page 99 in the workbook, we can see there is a blank page and there is a lot of information or notes at the top. So you may use this page if you like, if you just want to simply practice making a thank you email. Use this page and the information provided and the space below that is provided. And you can follow the example here and send to my email. Okay? So let me talk about this assignment a little bit more for this week. Now, if we noticed, in the example, Dear Mrs. Hill, and we noticed that the writer has thanked the recipient twice, in the very first part and also at the end. Now, in between, we noticed that the writer has first given a reason for thanking someone. So what's the reason of this thank you letter? Tell them in the beginning. Second, what do you appreciate specifically? I would suggest to give at least 2, maybe 1 or 2 examples or reasons. Third, thank them again. You may notice at the end, sincerely. Sincerely, Eden Babayan. Okay, it's common to use the salutation sincerely in business communication or business letters. So your homework, your writing homework for next week, write a formal thank you letter. You can choose to follow page 99 in the workbook, the white color book, or you could use a personal example or a personal thank you note to someone. And maybe later, after I give some feedback, you could send this thank you note to the person. Okay? The goal is 6 to 8 sentences. We're keeping it simple with long paragraphs. So try your best to write 6 to 8 sentences, and let's make another challenge to make it helpful practice, try to use some vocabulary and or idioms. So work-related idioms that we talked about. When you finish, check yourself on page 105, and you will notice a checklist. So first, my first sentence says why I am thanking the person. Number 2, I mentioned something specific I appreciated. And 3, I thanked the person again at the end of the email. This is a checklist that you can use to just make sure that your assignment is correct. Okay, so I say to you, good luck, try your best, and I will look forward to receiving from you via email, careywaldrop@gmail.com, receiving your email submissions sometime during this week before next week. So try your best. Now, as a review, in this chapter, we have talked about a lot of different things, both vocabulary, idioms, and grammar. Now, very quickly, let's have a Unit 8 review about vocabulary. I hope you can see those. Looking at the top, if you remember from Lesson A, the listening practice, we had these words. Background, it was a noun. Degree, it's a noun. What is that? It's the credential you are awarded. Bachelor's degree, master's degree. Background can relate to many adjectives. Cultural background, economic background, social background, and so on. Employed, describing your situation as a working person. So an adjective, it is an adjective. In this chapter, we have talked about phrasal verbs. And in the vocabulary, we have one, gets along, and usually connecting with. Gets along with, phrasal verb. Okay, interview can be a verb or a noun. And we just read an example of a blog, a young woman who is looking for a job, and she finally got an interview. The next word, personnel. Personnel. It is a noun, and this would be people who work at a company. Firm. Firm. Remember in the blog reading post, we saw firm handshake. In that example, it was an adjective. However, a firm can also be a noun to describe a company. Reliable is an adjective. Remember, the meaning is easy to trust, responsible. Okay, oops. And next we have strengths. This is a plural noun, something that you are good at, you do well, a strength. Critical is an adjective, critical. And in the reading practice, we saw this word, and there are many possible meanings for critical. Usually it is a negative meaning. Let's give one example. Many patients, with a T, are in critical condition in the hospital these days with coronavirus. Okay, confidence is a noun. What's the adjective? Confident, with a T, confident. Network can be a noun or a verb. If I network, I communicate, I use my personal relationships to get a job connection. Or a network could be a group of companies, or some websites use www.net. It means network. Okay, fair. We saw fair in the reading article, which was used as a noun, a job fair. Fair can also be an adjective. The teacher was fair to all of her students. Okay? Patient, patient. In this case, I'm not talking about the noun, which means a sick person. I'm using the adjective form, which means, let's see, having patience or ability to stay calm and relaxed. Okay, so also we learned a lot of idioms, and let's see, let me move this a little bit this way, okay? Do you remember several expressions relating to getting fired or losing your job? Get the boot, okay? Kicked out, get the boot, or get sacked, losing your job. Take on, which means to hire new employees. It is also a phrasal verb. Do you think it is separable or inseparable? It's separable. Let's give an example. Take a new job on. Take it on. Take her on as a new employee. It is separable. Take on. Okay, what about take the rap? Remember, it means to take the blame for a mistake. Don't beat around the bush. It means be direct. Use direct communication. Burn the candle at both ends. I have some candles behind me. If I burn the candle at both ends, that means I'm so busy and so overworked that I burn out. So a person can also burn out, right? We also have go the extra mile. Go the extra mile. Work more than necessary. Impress your boss. Pull your weight. Okay, if I'm pulling my weight, I am doing the necessary tasks. I'm doing what is required for a job. Pull a few strings relates to networking, making connections, but this is the slang expression. I'll pull a few strings for you. Maybe I can find you a job with that company. Okay, now the next one is also a phrasal verb, butter up. I put a parenthesis here. Butter him up. Butter your boss up. Get brownie points. Impress. Do something very good to impress your boss. Butter her up. Okay? It is separable, isn't it? A separable phrasal verb. To put pen to paper. It's literal. I can write my ideas down at my desk, or it simply means to start a job. Next, to give marching orders. So we mentioned how this is a military expression. The general gives orders to the soldiers. So, in the same way, a boss can give marching orders. And finally, show someone the ropes, or show her the ropes. Please show me the ropes. A new employee is getting help from an experienced employee, maybe an older employee. All right. Now, these are some of the vocab words that we learned in Unit 8, including the listening practice and the reading practice. These are idioms that I introduced to you in the PowerPoint presentation. So I hope you have tried to practice something. Just practice a little bit. So now I mentioned to you in the writing assignment, try your best. Try to use some idioms, okay? So use vocabulary and or idioms in your writing homework assignment for next week, okay? So you can follow page 99 and use that page in your workbook, or you can use a personal experience and write a personal thank you letter to someone, anyone. And then you can send that letter later. All right, any questions? Good luck to you for this writing assignment. Now, I would like for us very briefly to go back to the Green Student Book. We're going to try to finish Unit 8. I'm going to skip over to page 107. Page 107. It looks like this. You will see grammar connections. Okay, Unit 8, page 107. All right. Now, I will challenge you because in this chapter, we have spoken about present perfect continuous verb tense. So there is a game on this page. Maybe you can practice this game or use this game at home. If you have a dice or even a coin, and flip the coin, and instead of someone in your classroom, someone at home that you can talk with. So now, I would also like for you to do a little bit of workbook practice for next week. We have not looked at our workbook so far, so I'm going to give you some additional homework. At the beginning of next week, we will start by checking the exercises in the workbook. Okay, so in this white colored book, Ventures 3, before next week, can you do pages 94 through 95 and pages 92 through 93? That's 4 pages of homework, but no problem for you. I know you can do it. So we have 2 assignments for next week. We have the writing assignment. Please send to my email address here. We also have a workbook assignment with 4 pages. So I have decided, because we did a lot of grammar practice as well, we need to spend a little bit more time to review that grammar. So at the beginning of next week for segment 1, we will start with checking the workbook and doing some additional grammar practice. In the meantime, you have a lot of vocabulary and a lot of idioms that you can practice at home. All right? So if I can find this page here, all of these words that we have talked about today, see if you can find a way to practice these. You might need to do some self-practice. Keep a notebook, maybe write some sentences. I would be happy to check some sentences for you if you want to make sure that they are used correctly. Okay. And I mentioned to you on day 1 this week and also last week, try to find or choose a conversation partner, someone that you can communicate with and practice in the book. Maybe it's a former classmate from last term. Maybe it's another friend who is willing to practice English with you. So because we are not face-to-face, we have to be creative. And so I challenge you, try your best to practice on your own. And I hope that one day again, we can come together as a class and practice face-to-face. I know that it's so much better, but I thank you for your patience, and your effort and your motivation to keep learning with me this way. So please don't give up. Try your best, and I hope that this is helpful for you. Hope you have a wonderful week and weekend, and I look forward to seeing you next week for reviewing Chapter 8 and starting Chapter 9. Okay? All right. Everyone, take care and see you soon.